There comes a moment when you realize that the kindest person in the room was also the one you understood the least. You had spent so long being grateful for their warmth that it never occurred to you to ask what the warmth was protecting. I have noticed this pattern across many years of watching people, and it disturbs me more than open hostility ever did. The cruel man announces himself. You know where he stands, and you can arrange your defenses accordingly. But the relentlessly nice person offers you nothing to defend against. And in that absence, something quietly accumulates. What interests me is not their kindness, but the cost of it. The part of themselves they had to bury in order to remain so consistently pleasant. Because nothing in human nature is free. And a man who never shows you his anger has not stopped being angry. I want to be precise about what I mean by nice, because the word has been worn smooth by overuse. I am not speaking of genuine warmth, which is rare and costs the giver something real. I am speaking of the compulsive agreeableness that bends toward whoever is speaking. The smile that arrives slightly too fast. The person who has never once in your memory told you something you did not want to hear. You have met this person, perhaps you have been this person. There is a particular quality to their attention, a watchfulness underneath the softness. And if you observed closely, you would notice that their niceness is not relaxed but vigilant. It is working. It is doing something. The pleasant exterior is not the natural overflow of a settled soul, but a structure built deliberately and maintained at considerable expense. And structures are built to keep certain things out and certain things in. Consider what happens to anger in such a person. Anger does not evaporate because it is unwelcome. The man who decided early in life that his rage was unacceptable, perhaps because it once frightened someone he loved or cost him something he could not afford to lose, did not thereby become a man without rage. He became a man who could no longer find his own rage, which is an entirely different and far more dangerous condition. The feeling went underground. It did not die. It was buried alive. And it continued to live in the dark with all the vitality of anything that has been denied air. This is the shadow, though I dislike how casually that word now travels through conversations that have not earned it. The shadow is not a metaphor for your bad habits. It is the living sum of everything you have refused to be. And the more determined your refusal, the more autonomous it becomes, until it begins to act through you, in ways your conscious mind will not recognize as its own. The nice person has not transcended their darker impulses. They have merely lost the ability to see them. And a man who cannot see his own knife is more dangerous with it than one who can. I once watched a man apologize to someone who had wronged him. The wrong was not ambiguous. Everyone in the room understood that he had been treated badly. And yet within minutes he was the one saying he was sorry. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Sorry if he had given the wrong impression. Sorry, in that bottomless way that has no flaw. Afterward he seemed lighter, relieved, as though he had performed some necessary act of maintenance. But I noticed something in the days that followed. The person he had apologized to began, almost imperceptibly, to suffer small inconveniences. Plans fell through. Messages went unanswered slightly too long. A promised favor evaporated. None of it was traceable. None of it could be named as retaliation. Least of all by the nice man himself, who would have been genuinely wounded by the accusation. This is the mechanism I want you to see clearly. The anger he could not feel directly did not disappear. It found the only exit available to a man who has forbidden himself the front door. It went out through the back. In the dark. Wearing the costume of accident and circumstance. And he slept soundly, believing himself the wronged party twice over. Here is the deeper layer. The one that explains why such people so often rise and so rarely fall. The nice person has learned, usually long before they could articulate it, that their value lies in their usefulness. They were loved, or tolerated, or kept safe, in proportion to how little trouble they caused and how much they gave. So they became fluent in a particular kind of negotiation that never declares itself as negotiation. Every kindness is also a deposit. Every act of selfless service is also, at a level beneath awareness, an invoice that will one day be presented, though never openly, never in words, only in the slow tightening of unspoken expectation. You begin to feel, around such a person, a strange and unaccountable guilt. They have done so much for you. They have asked for nothing, and precisely because they have asked for nothing, you can never repay them, and you can never leave. Because to leave would be to confess yourself the monster in a story where they have cast themselves, sincerely and without conscious cunning, as the one who only ever gave. People adapt to access, and the nice person has made themselves indispensable in order to make you unable to do without them. The kindness is real. The trap is also real. These are not contradictions. They are the same act seen from two depths. What disturbs me most is not the manipulation, because manipulation at least implies a manipulator who knows what he is doing. What disturbs me is the sincerity. The dangerous nice person is not lying to you. They are lying to themselves first. And you are merely downstream of a deception that begins in their own interior, in a sealed room they have never entered. I think of it as a room in a house. A room whose door has been papered over so completely that the inhabitant has forgotten it was ever there. They walk past it every day. They feel, sometimes, an inexplicable draft, a coldness in a certain hallway, a mood that descends without cause, but they do not connect it to the room, because for them, the room does not exist. And a man cannot guard against what he has convinced himself is not inside his own house. Everything they cannot bear to be lives in that room. Their resentment lives there. Their contempt for the people they serve lives there. Their fantasy of finally, catastrophically refusing lives there. And the more flawless their kindness appears on the surface, the more crowded that hidden room has become, until the pressure behind the papered door is enormous. And you, standing in the pleasant warm parlor. I have no idea what is leaning against the other side. This is why the persona is not the harmless social mask. It is often described as being, the persona is meant to be a single garment among many, something you put on to meet the world and take off when you come home to yourself. But for the nice person, the garment has grown into the skin. They cannot remove it because they no longer know where it ends. And they begin. And a man who has become his mask has not solved the problem of his hidden self. He has only ensured that when the hidden self finally moves, it will move through a body that does not recognize it, in a life arranged to give it perfect cover. I have seen these collapses. The devoted husband who astonishes everyone. The gentle colleague whose sudden cruelty seems to come from nowhere. It does not come from nowhere. It comes from the room. It was always coming. The only mystery was the timing. And the timing was never random. It waited for the moment, when the cost of holding the door had finally exceeded the cost of letting it open. I do not tell you this so that you will distrust kindness, which would be its own kind of impoverishment, a life lived flinching. I tell you so that you will learn to feel the difference between warmth that has integrated its own darkness and warmth that has merely exiled it. The first kind can say no. It can disappoint you. It has a temperature that varies, because it is alive and answerable to a real person with real limits. The second kind is always, uniformly, suspiciously warm. And you should be most careful precisely where you feel most comfortable. Because comfort is exactly the climate in which the unexamined shadow does its quietest work. The truly individuated person is not nice. They are something rarer and far more trustworthy. They are honest. And honesty, unlike niceness, has the courage to be occasionally unwelcome. They have walked into their own hidden room and met what was living there, and refused to be ruled by it, which is the only thing that ever disarms it. Niceness manages the shadow by pretending it is not there. Integration disarms it by looking directly at it and saying, yes, this too is mine. And so you are left with a question you cannot quite put down. The next time someone is unfailingly kind to you, the next time you feel that warm and frictionless ease in someone's company and notice, faintly, that you have never once seen them angry, you will wonder where it went. You will wonder what is in the room you have never been shown. You may even, if you are honest, begin to wonder about your own nice exterior, the version of yourself you offer so smoothly to the world, and what you have arranged to keep behind your own papered door, the draft in the hallway, the coldness with no source, the mood that arrives without cause. You felt it just now, reading this, and you told yourself it was nothing.